Hello, in this video we're going to be talking about lipids, specifically saturated fats, unsaturated fats. So let's not wasting your time, let's get right to it. Now when we're talking saturated fats, we're talking fats that come from animals. As you can see the cow there beside me. Saturated fats, of the two, they are the ones considered less healthy. They are also solid at room temperatures. So like someone like me can remember, grandmothers, or like working at McDonald's. That's my first job during high school. Loading, using lard or Crisco to cook things, especially in a fryer. Those would have been saturated fats. Again, animal origin, solid at room temperature, and if you could look at the diagram of the three pictures over there, it's the one beneath the two, the long one. It's just a long row of carbons just covered or saturated with hydrogens. Lots of CHs, which means lots and lots of energy, as we referred to in our previous video. So they're excellent energy sources. Okay, they're excellent at storing energy. But the phrase saturated means they have more hydrogens than unsaturated, and there's a reason for that we will look at on the next slide. Okay, unsaturated fats, as you can see here, less hydrogens. Now it's not a lot less, but they've got that double bond in the middle, and that takes up some space, and so you can see that double bond there. It gives it that bent. So when we were looking at the phospholipids, that tail that was bent, that was unsaturated because it's got that bond in the middle, which gives it that kind of that angled. These are plant origin, okay, considered much more or much healthier for us. They're liquid at room temperatures. That's why if you have a can of Crisco sitting next to a jar of vegetable oil in the pantry, or in our case in the cupboard above the oven, one's going to be a liquid at room temperature, one's going to be a solid at room temperature. The one at liquid temperature, or liquid at room temperature, that's the plant origin, unsaturated fats. And again, the reference to saturated is a reference point to the hydrogens. Again, as you can see in the structure, lots of CHs. So again, lots of energy, both in storage and releasing. Excellent for doing both of those. But the unsaturated has those double bonds in the middle, which takes up some space, and so there are less hydrogens than saturated. Alright, so when we're talking saturated and unsaturated fats, we just want to make sure that we recognize the differences. And of course they have the properties, one's plant, one's animal, but we're talking about the chemical structure. Okay, so it's the bonds, or in the case the double bonds. Unsaturated has those double bonds, saturated does not. As I see there in my second reference point there, and the saturated not having those double bonds gives them more room for more H's, which is a reference to the saturated. So the two main differences is that unsaturated has those double bonds in the middle, and saturated has a lot more H's. Well, that's our video on lipids and saturated fats. In our next video, we'll get into proteins. So we'll see you then.